before, what wasn't working was, a lot of it was communication. I had a lot of knowledge, studied a lot.
You did. I remember you had really big words. Do you remember that?
I do.
You used to blow me away with your intellect is incredible. Yes, I remember that.
So I love words, love linguistics, love studying. Did about a decade of a lot of it.
Wow.
And thought I knew a lot.
Yeah.
And in some ways I did. And I enjoyed that journey. And I remember taking this journey and realizing there's a lot I don't know. To put it lightly. Yeah. Blind spots. And so...
What a gift to have the humility to recognise a blind spot as a gift. Because a lot of people see, if there's a hint of a blind spot, they run. Yeah. But you stuck. You kept facing it.
Well, I wanted the outcome. I wanted to grow as a person and see what I can become beyond those blind spots. Yeah.
That's incredible. So what was the trigger point for you? What was the turning point? I can remember a few, but I'd love to get your take on it.
One was this whole thing around perfection. You know, I felt that in order to kind of go forward on my journey, I had to have it all together in a certain way.
That's a lot of pressure.
Was. And when I realized that that's not necessary to keep moving forward and growing, and I can fall in love with myself more on a deeper level, bring more grace to myself, if I can use that word, it freed me in a way that, for me, at that time, that was one of the triggers that I needed to hear.
You really developed a sense of humour around about then. Do you remember that?
I did.
Do you remember?
I did. Yeah.
You had a terminal case of seriousness.
It's because I use big words.
It's because of the big words. But do you remember? And then something just shifted in you. What was it? You just made a decision. I don't know how. You just, and I haven't spoken with you about this before. You just got lighter, and it became so much fun to banter with you. What was that? Do you remember?
I do. If I had to summarize that or boil it down, it would be the self-trust. Yeah. So I just trusted myself in environments more to play. Yeah. And it feels good.
It does.
And just the other day, I actually had a brief moment to catch up with Andre Agassi for a little chat, and it was quite cool because he said something along this that relates to what we're saying, and he goes, you know, I'm #1 in the world, I have my own private jet, and I feel empty inside. Yeah. And it's like, that's at the highest level of a sport. Now, I was nowhere near achieving anything on that level, but I was still on the same, I've got to get there, and when's it going to end? And the difference now is, sure, I'm still ambitious, I still want to achieve things, and I like that. But I'm well aware that there's a distinction now that that's not my salvation, that's not my redemption, it's just a thing I'm going for. Yeah. All I have is within me now, and that's what matters, and from that place, I get to do that mission better, more effectively, or deeper perhaps. Yeah. In the past, I did often try to change, you know, people with the knowledge I had and all the fancy words,
You're an expert.
I was an expert.
You know best.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it didn't work.
What a shock.
It just didn't work. And so I think the big difference now...
Well, hang on, let's slow down, because that would have created a barrier between you and others. So you would have felt a lack of... Well, don't let me put words in your mouth. What happened? Because that's a big thing to do. Control people thinking you'll get love. Yeah.
Well, put it like that, definitely. It was just hard back. It was like they were backing up, you know, like, no. And I was like, but I've studied this. It makes sense, come on. Yeah. And it just wasn't working. Yeah. And I was frustrated. My frustration was building up. Yeah. It's like, well, why not? This is logical. You know, this is.
It makes sense.
It should make sense.
Yes.
So really, the big difference was allowing more space for them to be, whilst also feeling more trust for myself. And in that space, it's almost like something opened up between us that was genuine and authentic, in a way which I hadn't experienced before. Yeah. It matters because I was able to see my dad in a way that I hadn't seen before. Yeah. I was able to enter his world in a way that I hadn't before. And, you know, just feeling into that, it matters because he's getting older and we've had some beautiful connections now. Yeah. And I've really felt that I've been able to see him in a way that I hadn't before. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's beautiful.